Welcome to Garden of Lights. I'm Susan Howington, Family Consumer Science Agent with the Henry County Cooperative Extension, partnership with the University of Georgia Cooperative Extension. Today we're going to talk about zucchini. We're also going to hear from Frank Hancock, our Agriculture and Natural Resource Agent, and he's going to be visiting a farm right here in Henry County. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden of Lights. Welcome back to Garden of Lights. Today we're going to be talking about zucchini, and it's one of my favorite vegetables out there. And what I like about it is you can eat it raw or you can cook it. So let's talk a little bit about it, why it's so good for you. It is going to be low in calories. It's also going to be cholesterol and fat-free. It's also going to be very good in vitamin C, potassium, and it's also going to be great for fiber also. Leave your skin on if you can. I know some people don't like skin on things, but if you can, it even boosts it up on that fiber. So keep that in mind when you're getting ready to cook that zucchini or slice the zucchini. Now, as far as selections, I look for firm. I'm going to look for some firm zucchini. I'm going to look at even to see if it's still green here to make sure it's been there not too long. I'm also going to make sure it doesn't have any bruises. So you want shiny, firm skin is what you're going to be looking for. Now, as far as storage goes, you can keep this zucchini in your refrigerator in a plastic bag for about 4 to 5 days. So as you can see, it's a good vegetable that will be in your refrigerator for a little while. But in those 4 or 5 days, I want you to think about what are you going to be cooking with it. So we come back, we're going to check out Frank at the farm that he's visiting in Henry County. See you back in just a little bit on Garden of Lights.
Okay, today we're out here at Narrowway Farm. We're going to be talking to Russell Brydson here about what goes on at Narrowway Farm. I can't come out to Narrowway Farm though without talking about the previous owner of this place, Helen Dubose. She was quite a lady. I've known her for quite a few years. She gave me a copy of her magazine when I first met her, where it talks about her being the first lady of black agriculture. She had a degree from Florida A&M, I believe it was, and then later went on to the Tuskegee Institute and got a master's degree in ag economics, and she is the first black woman in the country to ever achieve that. She was a college-level teacher. She had work all over the country. She worked for the Department of Agriculture there at one time. But most importantly, she was a friend of mine. And so we'd come out here and work with her. She had blueberries, and so we worked with her on pruning her blueberries and that sort of thing. She was just quite a person. She was a cheerleader and a majorette and all sorts of things in her career. You can find out a lot about her on the internet if you just look up Helen Dubose. She's quite a person. She passed away 2 or 3 years ago, I guess. She was 95. And one of the things that she used to call me about all the time was trying to figure out what she could do with her farm, that somebody would keep farming it after she was gone. And we had some fairly lengthy conversations with her, brainstorming how she was going to deal with this farm. And then along came Russell Brydson, and I'm going to let Russell tell you a little bit about how he got this farm and what he does with it. And so just give us a rundown here, Russell, on what's going on at Narrowway Farm.
So we're a 12-acre farm. Of it, we have around 6 acres in production. We do a mixture of seasonal fruits and vegetables. And as Frank mentioned, blueberries is our big thing that we do. We do you-pick blueberries pretty much from June and July. And for from everyone we sold to, they're the best blueberries around, you know, bar none. And so we also do a lot of our produce. We go to, we have CSA, which is a community-supported agriculture, which we do baskets for different people to buy. We sell to restaurants. We do some wholesaling as well to some stores. And of course, we sell at the Henry County Farmers Market, which we've done for several years. And it's been a pleasure to not only to farm, but to meet the people that actually, you know, local people that actually eat the food and enjoy the food. So we grow everything organically, and we're in the process of obtaining our organic certification. And we just enjoy, you know, producing food that people enjoy. And we grow everything from sweet potatoes to butternut squash to some kale, peppers, collard greens, cucumbers, okra. You know, we have some okra that right now are like almost 8 feet tall. And it's just something we enjoy, myself, my wife, and our 2 sons. And you know, it's been a blessing for us to be able to acquire the property from the DeBose family several years ago. And we've slowly kind of enjoyed it and actually turned it into a full-time business.
Okay. And it's grown quite a bit in the last few years. I know when I first came out here, when you were getting started, there were just 2 or 3 rows of things growing, and now you've gone into the hoop houses, and you got what, 3
Yeah.
hoop houses. I think you work with the Natural Resource Conservation Service on getting these hoop houses installed, and a lot of top quality vegetables come off of Russell's farm, and I know it's a lot of hard work that he and his wife do out here keeping this place going, but it's looking good. What else you got for the future here? Are you picking up more restaurants?
Yes. So right now we're picking up. It's kind of a slow going. A lot of restaurants are slowly coming online, and so we're, you know, being introduced to different restaurants. Georgia Organics, we've partnered with them to do a few different projects. They're doing it's called Georgia Food Fights, where they're actually providing boxes, vegetable boxes for the restaurant employees that are underemployed right now, or are just not working. So so we're doing that, and it's you know, they're in the process of fundraising money to try and extend it out towards the end of the year, just as we do the pandemic and the situation. But it's been a pleasure to kind of meet up with different restaurants. Initially, we were planning to go to more of a wholesale model, just for simplicity and to make the farm more efficient. And then COVID hit. So we had to do, and a lot of our hotels and stuff pretty much shut down overnight. So we had to do some adjustment. And, you know, farm is like an oil tank. You can't just turn on a dime. But, you know, by God's grace, we're able to kind of get adjusted. And
I guess you see SA clientele that helped you through all of that to still be able to move.
Yeah, and we have a lot of people that actually come to the farm and buy produce weekly or bi-weekly basis. So it's really kind of helped us through, you know, that difficult time of transitioning. And it's one of our main source of income as we go forward.
Okay. Well, I guess one important thing is I get calls from people trying to get started doing similar things, and I guess the important thing is you have to have a market.
Yes.
If you don't have a market to move your vegetables while you're producing them, because they're not going to stop growing, they're not going to stop producing, and if you don't have a place to sell them. And so Russell has tapped into the restaurants and the community supported agriculture and farmers markets to keep his produce moving. So if one stumbles, he's got others to rely on.
Yeah. And it's a working process, you know. It's been I say this is I think I've come up on our 4th year, and we've had some bumps in the road, and but you know, thank the Lord, this is our 1st year we're actually financially in the I guess in the, not in the red, but in the
green.
In the green, yeah.
The green.
The green.
Yeah.
It's
Growing-
been such a while. I don't even know what to
greens
describe
and
it. Yeah.
financially in the green.
Yeah, so it's good, you know, and it's a working process. I think a lot of the, you know, for those people that are trying to start out, you need to just gain as much knowledge as you can, because it takes time. It's
Right.
nothing that happens overnight, and just because you like something doesn't mean everybody else locally will like.
Right.
Yeah,
And
so
it's,
it's good.
all right, that's good advice. You talk about those blueberries up there. I remember one time Ms. Dubose called me to come out here. She had some guys that were going to prune her blueberries, and she called me wanted me to come show them how to prune them. So I came out here and we pruned 3 or 4 plants together, showing them how to take out the dead wood. And first thing you do is cut everything down that's not a blueberry, all those little trees and things and vines growing up in them. So I left and they pruned them, and a couple of months later I got a call from her and she said, "Mr. Hancock, they have ruined my blueberries. They cut them back and the blueberries they just ruined them." And she left me a message saying that, and I didn't call her back right away because what am I gonna say? You know, well, I'll come out and put some of that back on.
Yeah.
So anyway, about as soon as the blueberries started coming in, she called me again. And she said, "You can forget about the blueberries." She said, "I got more blueberries and they're bigger than they've ever been." So I said, "Whew, sure am glad that happened." But so anyway, that's just a little overview here. We'll take a look around the farm, and then we're gonna go back inside and see what Susan is fixing.
Welcome back to Garden Delights. I hope you enjoyed that garden that Frank was showing off in Henry County. But now we're going to go back and we're going to talk about the zucchini. So this recipe we're going to be doing today is a zucchini casserole. Very, very simple. Not a whole lot of ingredients, but I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the recipe is going to call for 3 small zucchinis and 3 small squash. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up my zucchini. And like I always say, you have to wash your vegetables. So these have been washed. And these are nice zucchinis. They're very firm. So this is my way of chopping, but you can chop any way you want to. But I want it to be a cube size, so I'm going to cut them in half. And then I'm going to keep cutting from there. So let me get this one in half. And what I like to do, I'm going to move these out of the way, is I just like to run my knife down there through the center of all these that I have cut in half, and I'm just going to take it and I'm going to cube it. And I already have 1 zucchini already sliced in there, and I also have the small squash, yellow squash, already chopped. So I'm just going to add this to this. Now this is going to make about 8 servings, depending on what everybody wants to eat, but I will tell you this. This can be like a 1 meal for everything as far as a meal when you're trying to decide what you want to eat. So just keep that in mind. You don't have to do anything. You've got all your good vegetables to eat in the casserole. So let me just keep chopping this up. And this goes really quick. I just try to get them a bite size. And I'm going to add this to this. And I'm going to try to cut this one together and see how fast I can get through these. And that's it. So these are nice bite size, and the reason why you try to keep them uniform is because when you're baking, you do want to make sure it's baking evenly. So I have that done. So let me go through the recipe now just to kind of tell you where we are. I'm going to move this out of the way just a little bit and move my knife over here. Okay, so for your recipe, you will need, you're going to brown your sausage, and this is turkey sausage, and you're also going to need a small onion. I used a white onion, but you can use any onion you would like as far as that goes. So this has already been browned, ready to go. So it's 1 pound of turkey sausage and a small onion. And what I did is I browned this together. So I'm going to go ahead and dump this into my big bowl. And you will see, you're going to need a big bowl because you're going to mix all this together. The other thing is I'm going to go ahead and put in my zucchini and squash, and you can see this is a pretty good bit. I'm going to go ahead and dump that in. See if I can toss it a little bit. Now this is potatoes. They have been diced, and the recipe is going to say about 2 medium potatoes, and you can see this is a lot of potatoes. And I will tell you to keep your potatoes looking really good while you're cutting them and you're waiting to get everything else ready. Keep them in water, and that'll keep this beautiful color on them so they don't turn brown on you, because they will if you let them sit there. So let me stack a little bit of this. And then the other thing is you're going to need 1 can of Italian diced tomatoes, and I'm going to dump that in. And then once I get done with that, it's also going to need a little bit of salt and pepper just to taste, so depending on what you like. I'm just going to kind of put that in there. And then I'm going to stir this around. As you can see, I'll try to push it out just to see. It's a lot of ingredients as far as, not a lot of ingredients, but just a lot of zucchini that you're going to mix in, and you're going to mix in with the sausage. And you just want to make sure you don't have the sausage all in the bottom. You want to make sure it's moving all through before you put it into the casserole dish. So you're going to cook this in a casserole dish, like a 9 by 12, and you're going to cook it for about an hour, depending on your oven. May take a little bit longer. The main thing you want to watch for while you're cooking is the potatoes, because you know, like I was talking about, you can eat raw zucchini, raw yellow squash, but you don't want raw potatoes, so you do want to make sure that they are a little bit of softness to them. You don't want them to be crunchy. So I had this kind of mixed up, and I'll just show you what it looks like. So that's mixed up really good. Now in the recipe it's going to also say optional, you can add a little bit of cheese. I won't bake with the cheese right now. I want to just put it on at the very end when I bring it out, because it'll melt because it's hot. But I'm going to go ahead and get my casserole dish. It's right down here. And I've got the casserole dish sprayed just a little bit. Also, in the recipe, it's going to tell you to cover it with foil, so you do want to do that because that keeps that heat in, it keeps the moisture, it keeps it from drying out also. So I'm going to go ahead, so I have it already sprayed, so I'm going to go ahead and put this into the casserole dish. And you can see this makes a lot. If you wanted to freeze it, you could also freeze part of it. But if you have a family and you're trying to prepare something very quickly at night, this will feed your family very quickly. So I'm just going to do like this just to get it out, make sure it's even. And this is ready to go. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and add the foil, and I'll be putting it into the oven to cook about an hour on 350. So we'll see you back in just a little bit on Garden Delights. Welcome back to Garden Delights. Frank, this is zucchini casserole.
It looks pretty good.
It smells pretty good too. So I'm going to go ahead and serve you some up. It is going to be warm, so just don't burn your mouth. That's all I ask. Take it slow. Is that enough to start you?
That'll be enough to start.
All right. It's been smelling really good. I've been anxious to try it. Just to see. The zucchini is really, really good. And it has turkey sausage in it.
It's good.
It's like a meal in one for your family.
Got some of everything in it, right out of the garden.
That is really good. The tomatoes also give it that, Italian tomatoes give it that little taste to it also.
Speaking of right out of the garden, we went over to Narrowway Farm, talked to Russell Brydson today about, he's got rows and rows and rows of vegetables over there. And he's, you know, he brings them to the farmer's market and sells them to restaurants, and he's got a community-supported agriculture deal going on where people invest in his farming. So he's got quite an operation.
He does, and he does really well at our farmer's market too, as one of our vendors.
Right, over there on Ms. Dubow's old farm.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you're gonna love this recipe. You've gotta check the website out because you're gonna want this recipe. And Frank and I will see you next time on Garden Delights.
Okay. Don't forget what they always say.